But now, man, again, second live stream, and I'm on mute again, which I think I fixed it now. It's weird, like I was worried about, and I don't know how it's coming across now, but I was worried about like having two different cameras and there being like a weird echo. So I'm kind of curious about that. So I muted one of the cameras, but apparently it mutes all the cameras. So there you go. I can't do nothing right at sketching past midnight live. It's all goobly gockly around here. But anyway, what I was trying to tell you earlier. Oh, good. Must hear me well, hopefully. But I'm working on StarFury here. Volume was low. More gain. What can I do? Let's see. Let's go to advanced audio properties. All right. Is it sound any louder? But I may, if there's too many technical issues, I may end it, this broadcast far earlier. But yeah, StarFury, working on the cover for it. I think it's turning out pretty good. The up here, I didn't leave enough room, I think, for the title StarFury. So I'm gonna have to work on that. But couple of a little more, do 15 dB. Let's go higher. Go higher and higher. I want to set it to 150 here. Ah, la 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 la. Hello, hello. Let's go to 160. Hello. But yeah, all kinds of stuff. A little disorganized because whenever like technical difficulties happen, I'm kind of just thrown off guard. But I've been having to use OBS Studio here lately because of the fact that they did some changes. Like I couldn't do my intros anymore, my outros, and all this other stuff. And and all my other special little videos, which there really wasn't many of them, and honestly, I need to do a whole bunch more. So because of that, I'm using OBS Studio. OBS Studio is a free open source thing. Anybody can use it. You can use it. I can use it. The only trouble is it's not overly complicated, but it isn't overly simple either. So I'm doing all kinds of different setups. If you forgive me, I'll run through them right quick. Of course, we're watching Sketching Past Midnight Live, but I also did one for Mental Junk Food. Got my little animated dude there, and I got different camera setups and stuff, and got this going. And the cool thing is, let's see, this thing over here. That's an odd looking hand. But this thing over here, it's the same as the poster in the background, And so I wanted to kind of get that in there, even though nobody can really read it or see it. But there it is. But I got a Mental Junk Food layout, and I was going to use that for videos I plan to make in the future. Let's see. Oh, and this is a really cool AI made blues metal thing that I was listening to before I came on the show. I've got my window capture sources going on. Yeah, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I like all the bells and whistles, just trying to learn and everything and stuff. And so you got you see them kind of like my studio setup. So this in front of me is my desktop computer. I got a lot of my pens and stuff that I like to draw with. And I usually don't grab things like a savage, but just for this broadcast, I'll do that. I got extra cups and stuff. I got this from Temu. It's Metallica Ride the Lightning. It's one of those thermos things, but I was afraid to actually use it to drink out of because I didn't know if if they did a good job with the metal and stuff, because I don't want to drink lead, so I don't know. And so I didn't want to waste the cup, if everything was fine and dandy and I knew for sure, I probably would have got a Metallica Kill 'Em All one, probably like a Megadeth Rust in Peace, something like that. A lot of different cool little things. Probably something Black Sabbath. I would have liked to have had that. But no, instead I'm using it for a pen holder. And I buy these jars, and sometimes they're pizza sauce jars. But, I got a lot of stuff in that. So I'm pretty much bunched up in this corner of my pens and needles, ink pens and pencils. I don't know. And I got my stack of books I'm currently reading or using or whatever, references and stuff. Let's see. Wonder if I can highlight this. Let's see. Let me go to the Mentor Junk Food camera. One of these. I wonder. You guys have to forgive me because I'm kind of playing around here with stuff. And what's this one that says my comics? Oh, there's my comics. There you go. I need to relabel that. My comics big. I got all the good stuff. Oh yeah, I'm looking for a chat thing. That's what I'm looking for. It's like really small. Why is that so small? What in the world? Let's see. Oh. That's weird. That'll never work. Okay, I'm sorry guys. So, get back to my big head here. Lion Tiger Man 23 asked, you on OBS, right? Yeah, I'm on OBS. That's what I've been explaining. Like I moved from StreamYards over to OBS to try that. Not because I had the itch to try it. It's just more or less, I couldn't do my intros and outros and play my videos on StreamYards anymore because I have to pay for them now, and I'm a cheapskate. And so, using the free software, drinking the Cherry RC Cola. Having a good time hanging out with everybody. I just want to shout out Lion Tiger Man and Josh Fawkes. Fawkes? It's good to hear from you guys. So, talking about StarFury, I guess. Got this again showing you, and this was going to be part of the 100s Volume 3 anthology, but it fell apart, and so I had created this just for that, and so I was like, wow, gotta do something with this. I was already a couple pages in, so I've been working on it off and on, and there was a spot opening up, another anthology that was going to be published in comic stores and stuff, and so that been like a really good opportunity. And the deadline was for October the 1st, so I had plenty of time to get this together, get this rolling. Um, I had managed to get a couple pages colored, and let me see if I can show you a colored page right here, right quick. I'm going to go on the internet, and then I'll probably like share my screen. That way you can see what I'm talking about. See what I'm talking about. Boop. Let's see here. Alright, go back here. Let's go to the show and tell. Let's turn my window capture back on here. Boom, cha-boom, boom. I'll go back over here. Let's click this, make it bigger. So this is like page 2 of StarFury, and I really love how the colors came out on this. And I don't think these are the final colors. I mean, this is pretty close to the final colors. Originally, I envisioned, not hardcore like, but had in mind that these would be red. These, evil looking sentinel cybernetic dudes. But the colors colored them chrome, and I really like I really like the chrome so much. I thought that was pretty cool. So this is StarFury, here and here, and if you notice, he doesn't have a metal jaw. That's because later in the story, if I do my job right, he loses his bottom jaw in a battle, and it gets replaced. So I thought that'd be pretty cool, I feel like I got some. Oh, I like this Wildcat animated thing. I did it on Grok, and it's weird. It's speaking this unknown language. Nutty right there. Yeah. And here is page 1 of StarFury, and originally I planned to add like it's such a nice sky that the colorist did. I hate to cover it up. I thought about adding a 1960s at 1970s. I don't know if it's called a blurb or what it is, but I keep looking up to the camera, and I'm forgetting that I got the other camera pointed. More rookie mistakes. But I was going to add over top of it this yellow thing that had the title StarFury or something like that. And this thing over here, where it's got CB Smallwood, it's going to make that a yellow box, and then add all the other credits for anybody that contributes, like the colorist and stuff like that, So lots of cool stuff that I'm working on. And unprepared here, very unprepared. Here's a Wildcat page that I've been working on, and I've actually got this almost completed, and making some changes. I don't know if you can really tell here, but there's a guy pointing a gun, and there's supposed to be a bunch of other guys pointing guns, and it's like the thing is, part of his origin story is he gets murdered and he comes back some, gosh, going on almost 40, 50 years later, and it's like, as I'm drawing this, thinking about regular guys killing him because he's poisoned by uranium. I'm like, I don't know. I need to up the ante. I need to up the ante and really tell a story that's visually exciting. So I've changed things up, and I've added like masked goons that are somewhat visually interesting, and then a big monster behind them that I'm just calling Gravedigger right now. Just everything I can throw at you to the big, to try to get somebody somewhere to say wow, to give me the wow. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, I love this. This guy, this quote is from the Fantastic Four movie, and it is fantastic. And I thought this kid did a great job. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but we're gonna. Harold Galactus. Pretty cool.
Are you the protector of this world?
Oh man, I love the commitment. That's some good stuff. I don't know if he's actually heard any of that or not, but great stuff. I took the Tangura stuff that I was doing for Indie Comics Mountain, or Mountain Indie Comics, and I tried to experiment. I posted it on Twitter or X, broken it up into parts like a web comic. Didn't get much biters on that. Really don't understand it. I stopped using like hashtags because I think Elon Musk was like, don't use hashtags. But I noticed that since I started using them again, I'm getting a little bit more traction. So I don't even know. I don't know. Here's a recreation of Hulk 181 that I did. Yeah, did everything but the colors again. Great colorist. I like the it's bright but not bright. It's kind of like a dull finish, and I think that would look beautiful as printing it on like newsprint maybe, to really bring it up further. Just saying, just thinking out loud. So I was thinking about doing a lot of things like this to have at conventions, because I want to do conventions at some point in the future, and so have some prints and stuff made up. Dark Child's coming back out. Here's a page from Wildcat Dead Man Walking. I feel like it's pretty interesting, looking at where I've come from and where I've been, and getting glimpses of where I'm going, and it's pretty cool for me personally. I don't know what you all think, but to see, like, I feel like I'm growing as an artist. Maybe that's a little bit too much pat on my back, or I don't know if narcissist is the right word. But yeah, I do feel like I'm getting better. But it's one of these things you have to be careful. You know, just because you think you're getting better doesn't mean that is the case. Because you know, there's been times 10 years ago I remember sharing artwork online. Maybe not even 10 years ago. We'll say 8 years ago, sharing artwork online and thinking that it looked great when it didn't. You know, and so sometimes we as creators, we can have our blinders on and see what we want to see. But I feel like I'm getting better. This is a page of the Wildcat Dead Man Walking thing, and I got the Killed by Death um, like title of the story. You know, like, you know, when you would pick up a comic book back in the day and they had you know, like, say like you picked up the X-Men and then you open it up and eventually there'd be like a splash page in it and it said something like A Rose by Any Other Name or something like that, and that was the name of that particular story, not the book itself but the story. And I thought about doing something like that, and I wanted every title of the story I did to be representative of a song. And I thought it was really cool in the sense that people can go and look that song up and listen to it as they're reading the comic. But also, this is about giving back to the culture. Giving back to the culture. You know, it seemed like it was 2 years ago. I was at work talking to a coworker, a guy that's probably 20 years younger than me, give or take. And I was just talking, you know, about something that was related to whatever it was we were talking about. But I brought up Hot Shots or Hot Shots Part 2 or something like that, and it had I think Charlie Sheen in it. Well, you know, he was like one of the stars of it, and a couple other people, and I can't remember who these people are, but Charlie Sheen was one of the main guys in it, and it kind of made fun of, you know, action movies at the time, and I think the reason I brought it up is that I, in relation to whatever we was talking about originally, is that Saddam Hussein, the guy that was the former president of Iraq for decades, going on and on and on. He was in a lot of pop culture at the time in the early 90s, you know. I feel like he was like in quite a few different things, and I can't remember what these things were off the top of my head, but one of those things was Hot Shots, if my memory serves me correct. And as I'm talking to my coworker about this, he's like, Saddam Hussein who? It's like, yes, Saddam Hussein, you know, the guy that was the leader over Iraq. And you know, don't you remember, I guess the guy's name was Chemical Al, one of these guys, and Baghdad, something or another. I can't remember all these guys right off, but this younger coworker was just totally oblivious about all this stuff. And and you know, the thing about it is, it's like you know, as time passes on, we sometimes forget that that there's people that's just now being created, or people that's just now getting a few years under their belt in terms of like being toddlers. And they don't know the things that came before. And now I'm one of these people that is a guardian of the things that came before. And I'm one of the worst guardians ever. And it's like, the thing is, I feel like people my age, and maybe a little bit younger, have a duty, and people especially older than me have a duty to pass on the culture that came before. And unfortunately, we can't pass everything on. It's not possible. everything's just you know, even if we could pass everything on, we'd still have to be selective because there's a lot in terms of music, writing, you know, art and comics, television and movies. I mean, you know, things that were popular at the time and stuff, and movements and stuff. A lot of that's just kind of, you know, only the best stuff makes it, and the things that were not considered the best stuff, they're still important too, you know. But like, you can't remember everything as you get older, you know. And something I want you all to think about, yeah, you, as you get older, try to remember some of the cool stuff growing up, and then tell people about it. Because if you don't, it's kind of lost to time, you know. I mean, like, there's I mean, even the food changes every 10 years, you know. We lose pop brands, or soda pop, as some of you put it, but pop brands, and different juice drinks and different frozen foods and stuff, and then we get new ones, you know. I saw this drink I never saw before called Ski. It is at a gas station, but it is all right. It's kind of strong, but it is all right. It's a citrus type drink, and the packaging looks straight out of the '80s, which I liked. You know, I like that. You know, that aesthetic. And how long's Ski gonna be around? You know, I think like Surge. I don't think Surge is around anymore, but Surge was like a '90s drink. Nobody will have a clue what it tasted like. Let me tell you, I remember eating like sometime early '90s, late '80s, somewhere in there, eating Nintendo cereal. And it was black with a box in the middle, and I think it showed Mario kind of jumping around. I thought that was a good cereal, and I think Batman had his own cereal there for a little bit, and all kinds of cool stuff, and these were good. I liked them. I don't know what everybody else's deal was. You know, obviously everybody didn't buy them, or maybe they didn't want to pay for the licensing fee to, you know, make them. I don't know. RC Cola, you know, this feels like it's straight out of the '80s. Honestly, it does. I love the fact that the logo doesn't look like it's changed much, which I could be wrong. But to bring everything back full circle, talking about Killed by Death over here, you know, yeah, that's a Motorhead song. It's a great Motorhead song. Most people don't know that Motorhead has a song called Killed by Death. You know, I think it was off a album that wasn't very popular at the time. I'm trying to remember what it was called, but they had got the guitarist of Thin Lizzy on the album, and he was a guitar player for them, and a lot of that stuff he did on there was a little different. You know, it was more melodic, but it was still heavy. And Motorhead fans at the time just pooed all over it. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think Killed by Death was on that album. And so, great song, great Motorhead song. You know, go pull that up, go listen to that, you know. You enjoy it. If you want to squeeze my lizard, but anyway, yeah. So that's part of the thing that I was planning on doing with Wildcat and maybe other books, but Wildcat mainly, is put song titles as the title of that particular issue in them, and then people can make their own mixtapes and based on Wildcat and stuff. And I thought that would be neat. Let's go to big camera, baby. Got me a little a ticker here. I noticed one of the things, the problems in the past, is some people couldn't remember the name of the show. You know, it's like something about drawing past 12. Something about doing something past midnight. Nobody could really remember what it is. It's sketching past midnight. Right there. You even got it right there. It's important. It's branding. Not branding like your buddy Brandon. Branding. Branding. There we go. It's branding. Got to get your branding on, you know, so people know who and what you are, you know, what you're all about. I even got my little Wildcat guy right here. See him? See the little Wildcat guy? I don't know if anybody's still watching or not. I think I killed everybody. But, let's see here. Let's go back to show and tell. That's what I called this camera, show and tell. There's a yellow blood thing I did. I thought this turned out pretty good. I like it. Yeah. That's going to be another print that I'm going to try to take to conventions eventually. Got any more art? Here's another project I'm working on. I haven't had anything else to it, but this is Super American, and it takes place in the 1940s, and so going to be he's going to be battling the Soviet menace. Boo, 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 boo. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Boom. So back to the big camera so you can see all me and all my glory. Of course, this is a little blurred out. There we go. Oh man. But sorry about the lack of enthusiasm. This is my second live stream that I've done in a while. I'm trying to get all the bells and whistles down. I've mentioned that before in case anybody's just now tuning in. But I'm getting better. I want to get back to making videos, and I got a bunch of stuff that I'm trying to work on if I can ever get to it. I got a really cool idea for a video based off of this, and there's a slight controversy about this particular, well, not this issue, but like an issue that happened like 2 or 3 issues before this one, and I think that'll make a cool video. And I also plan on doing multiple videos on this, which is Writing for Comics with Peter David, which in my opinion is one of the best, if not the best, book on writing comics, and you know, it's probably number 1 on how to write comics, and probably like number 10 or something on writing in general. Okay, because you know, now writing comics, writing manga, writing you know, shoot movies, screenplays, whatever. I feel like there's a lot of great advice in here that's very helpful, and For you purists out there, there's pictures. I'm not purist, but I'm so stupid. I like to blurt out things without thinking. For those of you that need pretty pictures, there's some in there. I know it's really blurry because of the light of the my light that's up above, but oh man, it's got a lot of good stuff in it, and so I'm going to do some videos on this and try to help everybody, and I'm going to encourage people to every video, including this one, to go on Amazon or eBay, just wherever you can find this, and go buy it. It's about this thick, and I feel like it packs a wallop. Um, the chapters are: where do you get those crazy ideas? Characters: what makes heroes and villains tick? Conflict and theme, plot and story structure, and scripting. He's got a few extra little doodads like how to break in, and above all, don't forget works index and a subject index. And let's see, how many pages is this bad boy? It's about 175, give or take. And like I said, I encourage you all to take notes. I was using this one thing. When I find things that are interesting or helpful, I'll take notes, and I'll also use this thing as my bookmark. I've not read it here in the last little bit, both the bookmark and the book. I know you can't see it. You can sort of see it there. There we go. If we turn it that way, that's a little helpful. But these are my notes, and it's all based off of what I read from this book, Peter David's writing tips. Number one, if you have writer's block, write anything. Start a new story, a poem, a blog, just anything to get you writing again. Number two, all stories boil down to three things. Three things. Man against man. Man against himself. And man against his environment. And I encourage you to challenge the now deceased Peter David if any of this is correct, because I feel like when you do these things, when you challenge these people and you're forced to do your own research, it'll probably end up confirming most, if not all, of those that have come before us have done. Number three, write what you know. So write from your own personal experience, write about things that you've seen, that sort of thing. Number four, let your imagination run completely wild. Ask yourself, what if? So just constantly asking what if as you're, what was that? I had a big thing pop up on my screen just then. Let me look at my phone. Where's my phone at? Oh, here, live streaming. Oh, boy. I'll check it out here in a little bit. But anyway, on my list here, don't write one-sided position pieces, present the opposition. So this is something that's, I feel like it's been going on in comics for the last 10 years, where people are writing stories, particularly in superhero comics, where one side is basically lecturing everybody else, and that makes for a very preachy comic, and sometimes it's not very readable. I always like those stories where you're like reading the X-Men, for example, and you get Charles Xavier's viewpoints and things, but then you get Magneto's, and it's interesting, and it's not written as villainous dialogue, at least in the past. It was written as a guy who's went through some traumatic things, and he feels that mutants are his people, Homo superior, and he feels that they're victims, and he wants to get them out of that and lead them to a better tomorrow. And he doesn't believe in Xavier's dream of mankind and mutant kind coming together peacefully, because he's just never seen that or experienced that. So to him, that's a fantasy. And the way I explained it is I think isn't about putting Magneto in a positive light. It's about seeing Magneto as a human being, even though he wouldn't want to be seen as a human being, but seeing him as a being with intellect, with sentience, and treating him as such, instead of like this black and white cartoon character, where good, bad, that sort of thing, But sometimes if you play in the gray a little too much, that's not good either. So you need a little bit of variety. But anyway, that's just my opinion. I ain't no pro writer. I've not written anything like this, let alone I've just done like a handful of comics. This is just my opinions. But Peter David said, don't write one-sided position pieces. Present the opposition. Number 6, the hero is defined by the challenges he must overcome, and the villain presents those challenges. That's pretty cool, right? A villain, number 7, tends to have an aggressive goal and drives the plot. Okay? And I'm not doing anything funny when I'm doing that. I'm just saying, this is the driving hand, okay? The driving hand. Bunch of potty minds. Number 8, villains can be sympathetic, which what I was in a roundabout way of trying to say. Number 9 is what are villains' motivations? So that's something to think about. Number 10, the villain. Is he a villain everywhere? And then there's something else on here. This chapter was talking quite a bit about villains, and so that's kind of like how this got filled out. But design a villain. Who's the hero? Hero plus villain mirror one another. What is their backstory? Develop powers and name of villains that reflect all of the above. What is a hero? A hero thinks, considers, and does for others. And also a hero can have upbringing instilled a high moral code in them. Personal trauma led them on their path, which is like Batman, for example. Or they model themselves after an existing hero. A lot of good stuff. So I'm going to put my notes / bookmark back in my handy dandy book. Probably Borgens the Tears. I hope not. But so this, I'm going to do videos on this, and we're going to talk about it. I'm going to put it out there, and hopefully it helps some people, and maybe helps me as I try to explain it to all of you to the best of my understanding. I mean, this is good. This is a good book. I'd put this right up there with the, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. Also, maybe I shouldn't be talking about all this, because sometimes it's good to just do, just do stuff instead of just talking about it. Because sometimes when you talk about the things that you're going to do, it creates roadblocks for yourself, and I don't know. It does funny things. But I'm going to talk about these magazines, Hero Illustrated, and go into Combo magazine, maybe a couple others. Again, it's about preserving the culture and passing it on to the next generation, so forth and so on. And once it's out there, it's up to you guys what the hell you're going to do with it. Not everything can survive generation to generation. But, got a lot of cool stuff planned. And I really hope I can pull it off. I'm also going to start trying to bring guests on the show, assuming I don't mute the first 30 minutes of the show. And there's this thing that used to be called OBS Ninja that can do it, but they've renamed it to something else. But does the same thing. It's free, and supposedly I can have guests on the show. So that's really cool. Yeah, looking forward to that. Let's see, what else did I have planned? So once a week, I'll probably live stream on a Friday, Saturday, something like that. Maybe on a Sunday. And so that's kind of what I'm shooting for. And I'm going to resurrect all our old buddies. I'm going to find them. I'm going to poke them. And I'm going to remind them, hey, I thought you guys made comics. Where you at? Where have you been? There's some people starting to come back out of the woodwork and make themselves known. Jeff Lafferty, Mr. Lafferty. He's back to live streaming, or not live streaming, but doing videos. So I'll take what I can get. I think you're all the same way as well. And then, oh my gosh, need to get up with our good buddy Adam Lohr. Yeah, see how he's doing and what he's working on, that sort of thing. And Robert Johnston, always working on stuff. I highly admire his work ethic. It's fantastic. He's always doing stuff, and I need to reply back to his message. I'm terrible with that, but yeah. And oh man, there's like a whole. I always mispronounce his name, but Gibran, the Jeff's co-host and stuff. Where'd he go? He does stuff on Instagram, but that's about the only place I see him. I mean, there's just so many people that it just went poof, and it kind of reminds me of like the '90s when you had the image founders, and everybody was just on top of it. Just making comics and pumping them out like they were nothing, and then all at once everybody retired. Jim Lee retired, Mark Silvestri retired, Rob Liefeld retired, Todd McFarlane retired, But the only person that was left was Eric Larson, and it was all said and done. And I kind of feel like we on the indie comics scene have kind of done that, Not all of indie comics, of course not, but just my little sphere of people that I followed or was around, And also YouTube, and some of these other social media platforms, they got this bad thing that they're doing where they're, I'm trying to think how to put it, the algorithm is not promoting people, and so a lot of people that I used to follow, they're not popping up in my feed, and so I'm not, I just don't see or hear from them, in that way. And I'm not a guy that does well with messaging and doing that sort of thing. I sometimes am just kind of a voyeur, and I just follow people through their social media, like in their YouTube videos and that sort of thing. And occasionally, might do a text or something, So yeah. I don't know. I need to start poking people and getting them back on their game. The founder of V100's challenge, he's been posting here and there a little bit, and I feel like he's went through quite a lot of stuff over the past couple of years, and it's done a doozy on him. But very proud of him for sticking through it and trying to follow his goals, his ambitions and dreams. He's just trying to live, and so I like that. And I can't think of people's names to make this video more relevant and stuff. I like to prepare beforehand so I can write it all down, so I don't expose myself for the idiot that I actually am. But yeah, and speaking of the 100s, you know, what's going on with that? What happened to the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge? Is anybody still doing it? Is it still a thing? What's happening with it? And so I think that's interesting. You know, I feel like the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge had more good going for it than bad, and was you know, a nice little stepping stone for some people. You know, myself included. You know, because you know, I wanted to do some YouTube stuff. My son was just getting ready to be born, and I wanted to take making comics seriously. And you know, it's like, what am I going to make YouTube videos about? I'm not a professional. I don't have it figured out. But 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge gave me the perfect excuse to start making YouTube videos, to start putting myself out there. You know, and that's the reason. Let me fix my clown hair. There we go. That's the reason I got stuff like this, the Wildcat Fan Club hat. I got another Wildcat hat. I got this New Empire hat. All kinds of hats. I like this hat. This is, I don't know if it looks good on. Most hats don't look good on me. This is pretty cool. I like this. And I like this because it's comfortable, and it's like a mesh trucker hat, and I can wear it outside. Usually I don't wear hats, you know. You come to terms with your head looking like it's been napalmed. What can you do, right? But, you know, going back to the 100s, you know, we need to have a discussion about bringing that back, because, you know, I was talking about caps, but like you look at the poster thing behind me, and let me see if I can find something cool here. Where are we? I need to go to mental junk food. Let's see. See the poster? You know, I got my character Wildcat up there. You know, because of the 100s, you know, I had to make a logo from a comic book company, New Empire, and eventually, you know, that bottom left image of Wildcat there, that was the cover of the anthology, you know, and the bulk, if not all those people that did that anthology with me, they were people that were doing the 100s, that done the 100s with me. Maybe not with me personally, but part of that generation, you know. And then out of that come this idea for Monster Patrol and Fish Boy and a whole bunch of other stuff, you know. And yeah. So going back to the Sketching Past Midnight camera. This ain't a bad hat. I like this hat. It's comfortable. I always like to wear it like, how do you wear a hat anyway? How do you do that? But I don't know. I don't know if I have the time for a lot of the things I want to do, but I'll figure it out one way or another, right? You just prioritize what's the most important. And, you know, the 100s, like, I got to figure that out, you know? Well, not me personally. Well, yeah, me personally, but, like, I don't have to. But I really want to dedicate some time to figuring out, you know, like if it's still a thing, and if not, why not? Should we not inspire people to do it? Because the examples I was trying to give of all this stuff that I have and I've created and made is because it all started with the 100s, and the comic that I made with the 100s is this. You know, I've showed it before. This is like, I think there's only one other copy, and that's because the Indiegogo for it failed. And but yeah, it's all in black and white in this book. And the Kablam people, one of the cool things they did was they helped me with the formatting, and it's very nice of them to do Um, and those people actually, some of those people that's in Kablam, they used to work for Malibu Comics, which is defunct. Fun little fact for you. And, you know, out of, because of the 100s, I did that, and, you know, I didn't stop, you know. So I ended up making an anthology book, and that happened because I was doing my Sketching Past Midnight show, and I mentioned to people about wanting to do something. I can't remember how I worded it. You know, it could have been like Marvel Comics Presents, and I got a few people that was interested, and I asked people and was trying to, you know, gauge interest, and then poof, we had a book. Pretty cool. So I really do think that the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge, if it's not doing anything right now, bringing it back, and you know, if I had to, I would organize people and lead the charge, and maybe get a few people to help me to not jump off the deep end. But just putting it out there, something to think about. So anyway, I appreciate everybody watching this live stream and tuning in, and for those that stuck through to the end and those that just chimed in for a little bit, doesn't matter. I'm glad that you're here. Sorry that I didn't have anything more to offer. I just kind of want to get back in the habit of making videos, playing around with these cameras, learning the bugs and the issues, learning about the issues, about what's going on with these cameras. StreamYard thought it was the biggest and the best, but it's not the biggest and it's not the best. Okay, OBS Studio is free. It's free. Anyway, I love y'all. I appreciate you for tuning in. And CB Smallwood saying I will see you all in the next video.
I got no interest in you today. Stand clear and you won't get hurt.
What's your intention? You think one on four's a dog fall?
I mean to kill you in 1 minute, Ned. Or see you hanged in Fort Smith at Judge Parker's convenience. Which will it be?
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man.
Fill your